Hello everyone, Spud here, and in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about console exclusives, and why I think that to gamers, they're a negative. Now I understand there's actually a lot of business sense that comes into getting one of these big companies like Sony and Microsoft to sponsor your game and making it exclusive. I understand that business-wise, it does make sense. However, from a consumer standpoint, I do not like them. I do not like how they essentially hold a product that I want hostage until I give them $300, $400, $500, whatever the price of the console is at the time of the game's launch. My best example of this actually is Bloodborne. Now, I've always been a really big fan of Dark Souls. Ever since Dark Souls 2, yes, I know it's heresy, but Dark Souls 2 was the first Souls game that I played. And after that, I went and I got Dark Souls 1, loved it, and now I'm going through Dark Souls 3, hitting around 130 hours in it, and I'm on NG Plus and just enjoying my time with it immensely. I like Souls games. I'm sure there are lots of players like me who are in love with Souls games. And when Bloodborne came out, when it was announced, I'm sure there were tons and tons of Xbox and PC players like myself who were utterly just crushed because all of a sudden they can't play a new From Software game. I mean, if you are a fan of Dark Souls, you know after you beat it, you want more. Okay, you want more. You know, you never get to the end of a game like, you know what? I think I'm done. No, it's addicting. It's like a crack, and you want more. You want that next experience as soon as possible. That's how it is with most games and their sequels and their releases. And yes, Bloodborne is a new IP, but it's also a continuation of that same gameplay that we loved from Dark Souls. A little bit different, a little bit faster, but still good. And think about it this way. If you bought an Xbox, not because you didn't like PS4, but because, say, your friends had an Xbox, which is really a good reason to buy a console, is where your friends are, then all of a sudden you want to play this awesome game. But now Sony is holding it hostage. If you wanted to play it, you now have to spend $400 for a console, because that was the price of a PlayStation at the time of that launch. You have to buy the game. I'm just going to assume you're buying it at GameStop, and then brand new case, so that's what we know is $60, that's $460. Then if you want to play online, which is a massive part in any Souls game, you gotta shell out another $50 for PlayStation Network. Which, if you're a PC gamer like me, you absolutely despise the idea of these paid for networks. They're just cancerous, really. But that's a topic for a different video. Anyways, the fact that you have to spend almost $500 to have an experience that previously you could have anywhere you wanted. I'm just assuming that essentially Bloodborne is no Dark Souls game. Just get over it. It is. It just seems it's a terrible thing. It's just like when Street Fighter, the new Street Fighter game is going to be a PS4 exclusive, and once again, taking a franchise that was once a very large, wide-reaching franchise and locking it down to one system, all you're doing is holding something that a consumer wants hostage and saying, if you want to play this, if you want to enjoy this experience, too bad, buy our little box, even though it's essentially the same thing, and then you can. This is kind of why I became a PC player, because PC is less bullshit like that. You don't have NVIDIA specific games, you don't have AMD specific games, you don't have motherboard specific games or anything like that. No, you build the system you want, the specs you want, you get the games you want. And while of course exclusives also are absent from PC most of the time, Microsoft's doing something kind of right here. In all future Xbox titles, exclusives, not titles, are going to be on PC, which is really good, and it will expand their game sales. People say that they'll lose revenue if they stop having exclusives, but here's the thing. If Microsoft licenses a game, they aren't only getting the money from the revenues from the consoles they sell after that game comes out. No, they're getting revenue for the game as well. And if you're essentially tripling your potential revenue by opening up these other platforms, no offense, but I think having an extra, let's say an extra 6 million game sales kind of outdoes an extra 100,000 console sales. So that's just really my opinion on the matter. That's why I really dislike the idea of exclusives. Now I understand that, once again, developer-wise, this makes a lot of sense, because you can essentially develop a new IP, something that you're kind of unsure about, or maybe even just get support in developing a game that might otherwise not happen, or might otherwise be too much of a risk for a company if they can't support themselves very well already. But exclusives, just for the end user, for the consumer, are not a good thing. And one thing, whenever you look at, say the arguments on PC versus console, one thing that's always brought up is exclusives, and I don't really know why, because they aren't a positive. They really aren't. Saying, oh, well, I really like my Xboxes, now I can play, Halo. It's like, well, okay, that's great, but you shouldn't be thanking Microsoft and saying they're so great for saying, okay, well, you want to play this game, well, fuck everything else, buy my console. Okay, you shouldn't have loyalty to these corporations. The console wars in general are also just very anti-consumer, because they build up loyalty for these corporations that their end goal, guys, is to remove money from your wallets. So you shouldn't be loyal to them, you should be wary of them, and you should be holding them for their shit. You shouldn't be fanboying over them. You should be very critical of them and making sure that if they are going to take your money, they are giving you a quality product. Exclusives limit the player base of a game. They limit its exposure, and they create sort of this, oh, well, we have Last of Us. Oh, well, we have Halo. Well, Halo sucks. Well, why does Halo suck? Because it's not on PlayStation. That's really the only reasons. And essentially this leaves players saying, well, I don't really want to play it anyways, rather than giving them the option. It's saying, it's giving control over these companies, rather than saying, no, I want to be able to choose myself. That's one of the reasons why I like PCs overall, even though PC does also suffer from exclusives from that don't launch on it, or they have their own. Though one thing I will say, most PC exclusives aren't because the companies don't want to make a console game, is that their games just kind of wouldn't really work all that well on a console, be it strategy games or games like just Daisy, which is playing and won't run. Anyways, that's all I have to say, guys. If you watched, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like down below. Let me know the content I produce. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys all on my next video, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.